Hi, it's Malcolm from Aquaspray with another video from the floor of my log store. It's a lot quieter here than at work. The phone's ringing, people coming in. It's very difficult to get anything done, which is why I've not done a video for a while. But today, I'm going to show you how to change the standard machine without the microswitch on. You're going to have to change the pump to the one with the microswitch to make it a complete automatic machine like it would be from the factory. By changing these parts, you're going to need obviously the pump itself, the microswitch, and the control piston for it, like gland, just to make sure it's waterproof in there. So everything will be done as if it would be from the factory, using most of your own parts as well. So most of these stuff, most of the innards of that, transfer it across to this. That'll keep the cost down a little bit. So without further ado, we'll have a word from our sponsor of this video, and then we'll get to it. Yeah, I don't get sponsors for videos. Anyway, first things first, let's start stripping the machine. In fact, while I think on, a little bit dusty, my bench here, so I will put everything on nice clean tissue so that we know where we're up to. So the main thing is just stripping it down now, taking everything out, making sure that it's completely clear. Everything's as clean as you can get it before it goes back in. 22mm to take the pressure gauge off. 13mm to take the valves caps off. Yeah, a lot of people have a standard machine, and either they've bought it in faith that they're going to be using a generator and then change their mind, and now they can't be bothered going back and turning it on and off. They just want to have it an automatic machine. That's what they should have bought in the first place or whatever. And rather than buying a complete brand new machine and then having two machines, or having the trouble to get rid of your machine when you know what you've done with it and all the rest of it, this is probably the lowest cost way of doing it. You can obviously get the little remote, so you can turn it on and off from a distance, which again is pretty good if you've still got a generator. But certainly if you want it to turn on and off when you let go of the trigger automatically, this is the way to do it. And to make it as cheap as possible, we're using all the parts that you can get that come out of your machine, like the valves. Now the only thing I'm not sure about is the water seals. Whether you take the water seals out, if you damage the water seals on the way out, then you're going to have to replace them anyway. So I don't know whether to include them as this full kit straight away with it already installed, so you're not having to mess around, or to have it as a maybe an option, because you can get the seals out, but it depends on how old the machine is, how worn the seals are, to whether it's actually worth trying to get old seals out. But we'll decide that later. Let's just get this job done first. So all the valves are out. The water inlet here, on the new ones, it is a part of the pump, so you'll not be able to change it. But yeah, on this one they unscrew out. And if you wonder how to take it off, there is like a hex nut there, so you have to unscrew it. Try not to grip it with say pump pliers, because you'll end up damaging the thread or whatnot. Always use that Allen key there. So that's out, that's out. that's out. Easy start piston. Behind here is a piston and a spring, if you didn't know, that looks like this. You've got to make sure that spring's perfect and the piston looks good. And the cap, don't lose the piston or spring. I suppose that goes without saying really, but a lot of people get confused on how to take this unloader out. Basically you unscrew it until it stops on the little lock nut in the back and the spring's loose. And then you get a 19mm and prise the spring out the way a little bit and then unscrew it. Like that. This one's a slightly bent, so I might try and straighten that later on. Certainly if I got to sell it. But let's make sure this all is sorted and easy enough to work. So everything is out of that pump now. Now all we need to do is take the bolts that's holding the pump on and then swap the seals over and then rebuild it. And then once it's been rebuilt, then we can wire it into the box, test it, and then we're done. So it shouldn't take that long. I reckon it should be about, should be about 20 minutes. I reckon I could do it in 20 minutes. It's going to take probably a little bit longer, so I hope you stay with it, the video. You can always skip to the parts that interest you. You can also like and subscribe while I'm not sponsored. Right, so the pump, people see the pump in here like this, and they don't realise that the brass collars are out or still stuck in the pump. So you have to take these brass collars out gently. You don't want to damage them or score them. And then you've got to take all the seals out. This has still got grease on it from when we last did them. Screwdriver. It's raining on my roof if you can hear the pitter patterns. I've got a draining. Lovely. Good old dishwashers. So now everything's out of there apart from the seals. Oh, I forgot to take that off. So we need to do that. This might be a bit of a pain if it's too tight to come off. You'll have to put pump back on. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter about the brass collars or seals or anything like that. We're just going to put 2 bolts either side. So yeah, if you forget something that you need to take off that's thingy, rather than trying to struggle too much, just put the pump on so it doesn't move, and then you'll be able to just pop, take it off. Now behind here is a ball bearing and a spring. You do not want to lose a ball bearing, always cup your hand. See how there's no ball bearing and it's in the back end of there, like that. So there's a spring there and a ball bearing. That needs to be nice and springy. Right, let's take that pump off again. This is where it takes a little bit more than 20 minutes now. We'll try and do it uncut, really. Come across problems and we'll solve them as we go. So I'll take them washers out. Usually I would say if a seal can pull out with your little finger like this, then you're going to really need to replace them. I don't know why I've lost the seal. No, not. That's the hard seal. So one seal has popped out, but because I'm at home, I haven't got any seals here. So we're going to just gently pop the seals out. Now there is nice ways of doing that, which I'll show you in a minute. The pump itself, there is now nothing in this pump. The actual seat is in there, and there's a seat in there, but that comes with the new one anyway. So that is pretty much useless for now. So I'll stick that out of the way. And then we've got to rebuild this pump. So first things first, always reset these. Now this is all greased up because we've put plenty of grease on this because I've done it a couple of times now. Brass collars, hole up, soft seal, collar, hole up. It's already got that one in. So we got these 3 seals. When you're taking them out, if you damage the internal bit of it, it's not going to seal properly. So if you see any damage on there, you're going to need to replace them. This is why I might even pre-install these in the kits ready if you want to buy it. But these are pretty good. It did come out of that pump quite easily, which is probably not great. But the oil looks amazing on this one, so again, you can put these seals in if you're gentle with a screwdriver, which I've showed in a different video. In fact, let's do this one. So you would put, hopefully you can see that, one corner in, and then use the flat end of that screwdriver just to work it round. Now when they're absolutely brand new seals, they're quite hard, so they're quite difficult to get in. But it's the same process. You just take your time, don't damage them, don't score anything, and it's done. So that's the pump built up with the seals. You can add that pump on. That's Allen keys. It's probably the most boring bit of the video, tightening Allen keys up. At work now I've got a little drill, but I only have it on a really low torque, so I still have to tighten everything by hand anyway. So I can't stand stripping things out when they don't need to be stripped. Okay, pump's on, solid. So we're going to just start building it back up. So there are the seat that's in there, so we don't need to mess around with the seat too much. This is where you see the new and the old come in, you know, the old brass and the new brass. There's nothing stopping you from polishing them nuts up properly. Depends on how you want it to look. We're gonna have to take this blanking cap off because that is not a part that you need. This is for a machine with a hose reel where the outlet comes out of there, which reminds me, I think we need to take out that blanking plug. So I'll worry about that in a minute. Remember, don't lose the ball and spring. But with that being the newer ball and spring, I'll put the new ball and spring in there, and then we'll sort that in a minute. Easy starts in. build one side up. That Allen key just for that last nip. It shouldn't leak this. You can PTFE it, you can Loctite it. I've never really had a problem with just nipping it, but you never know. If you find any drips, that's what you need to do. Unscrew it again, PTFE it. We unload it. Screw it up as much as you can, and then you haven't got as much to go with a spanner. Still really loose. There we go. Okay, so we'll screw that up. If you screw it up now, you won't get confused when you're running it and there's no pressure. It's happened before. So while that is screwing in, I drop the 3 O-rings in there. Make sure they're seated at the bottom. What you can do with these valves, if you're not too sure, they need to be nice and springy. I've checked all these, so it's not really a mad problem for me. Even if there was a problem, it's only a 2-minute job to just take and check the valves. It's a brand new pump, so you shouldn't see anything, or nothing will be stuck in there, nothing can get in, especially if you have a filter in there. So multitasking. Again, if you really want, you can polish these nuts. Make them really shiny. I'm not going to do that. All right. So all the valves are in, the unloader's in, and that's in. I do need to take that out. That blanking plug there. Oh. Again with this, if you see any drips, PTFE it, or you can Loctite it. Again, I don't think there's a problem if you just put it in and give it a quick nip. So we're going to use the new ball bearing, and let's just spiky tool and spring, and then we're going to use the old outlet valve. Just make sure that O-ring's okay. There's no real crud that can damage it. And we put the spring in, fat end down into there, and then the ball on top of it. So as long as that ball is nice and springy, we'll have in. So the way to get these in is, hopefully this camera will get it. If not, I will try and let's see if we can do that. Put the ball so it's centered, and then make sure that spring does not come out as you're upside down. If it does come out, then you're gonna have problems. You'll feel it crunch, and then you'll have to replace the spring. and then right back here. So when it's there and thereabouts, so you can put it back down like that. So now we need to get the automatic. There's nothing in the old pump. Just for safekeeping, I think I should put the ball bearing back. And that, you never know when you might need one of them. So now we have to make the automatic work. So in here is little instructions on how it goes, but you don't really need to because it's already pre-built. If you ever get stuck, you can always ask. But you've got to make sure that there's no O-rings or anything that's in the far end, because when you take these out for service, it'll leave the little washer and O-rings inside the pump. Now I know it's brand new, but if you ever replace this for whatever reason, these O-rings here are normally in this pump and you have to get a spiker tool to get them out. But that said, this one's okay. It's got a little bit of grease on there, so that's fine. Screw that up. Done. So now we put the Microswitch box on. A flat screwdriver. Take these out. All you're doing, making sure there's an O-ring there and the Microswitch clicks. Nice, definite. Push that on, put the screws back in. Now don't over tighten these screws. They're okay to be a little bit tight, but if you over tighten them, if they rust, you are not going to have a good day. So that's it. We're all done, apart from wiring it into the box, which sounds more complicated than it actually will be. So it's going to go through this hole here. This one's already got this cutout done. If you don't have a cutout, it's like a punch out, like in the back of a normal everyday 240 volt socket or whatever. There's a little punch out that you can just quite easily get it out. So if we take the electric box off, this is where we probably, hopefully the cameras are going to get this because it's getting dark now. Put screws somewhere where we can find them. If it's a new style box, the switch is at the back here and all the plugs are easy enough to get hold of. Because this one, the way it is stuck behind here, the way you get it off is to just prise it up a little bit at a time on either side until you can get the switch out. So hopefully, let's try and get some light on it. I'll put it that way. Hopefully you'll be able to see this and what I'm going to do. So the first thing, I'm going to get rid of this, just to unscrew this terminal here. Now you don't need to do this because if you've got like just an extra spare terminal, that'll work as well. But spoiler alert, I've already done this, so but my camera's cut out halfway through and I didn't realise. So now I have to do it again. Right, so the gland. In goes the gland. Pass through. There is a nut at the back. So now we've got to make sure that nut doesn't come out of that housing. I don't know how well you can see that. The idea is not to cross thread it. And to screw that up tight. Okay, and then we screw that gland out, make that watertight so it's not going anywhere. So these are your two wires here. The one with the terminal on will go to the switch, and the idea is to take your positive from the switch across to the other side, and you will disconnect that wire. And that wire is a red wire, but because I've already done it, I've had to cut it. So it had a terminal on like that. I snipped it and put it into a 3 connector block like that. Oh, we've got noisy kids. So if we put that underneath, just to make it look very nice, just click the insulation on. Connect that to the switch. So that red wire was here, and I've taken the red wire off and replaced it with that brown wire with that terminal. Hopefully that should be self-explanatory, but if you get stuck, again, no problem, let us know. The red wire that came from the switch, I've cut the terminal off, screwed it into this terminal, and on the other side of that, connected to it, is from the microswitch. So one of the microswitches goes to the switch, one of them goes to this terminal block. Now, there's nothing stopping you leaving it like that. You're done, put the lecky box on, and away you go, no problem. To make it a little bit neater and how it should be from the factory, if I get rid of this screw here, so I can screw that black one back down. If I take one of these out one for one, so this blue one, take that out, put it into this terminal block. And then the other side of that blue one, which is the capacitor. There goes one camera. Like that, and then do the same thing on this side. Hopefully I've got enough battery in my camera to finish off, because I'm pretty much there. Once this terminal's on and this is connected securely in the box, when we put the lid on, it is done. So always check your terminals are tight, and then we can hook this back in. Of course, I'm losing light as well. Done. Right, okay, so microswitch goes in, you break that positive wire that goes in there, capacitor's back. Watch you don't trap any wires when you put this one back on here. Like so. So it's about typical, batteries run out. It's all done, it's all sorted. I'm going to take it to work, give it a test, and then we're done. I'll show you what tools we need as well. Plug that in, set some water to it. High pressure hose. If you're not sure, that's the wrong lance, let's put 028 lance on. If you're not sure, hold the trigger open while you turn it on. And then only let go and be prepared to turn it back on with a trigger if you have a problem. Voila. Done. As far as what we've changed is the main brass block, the switch, the control piston that hits the switch, and this gland, and by cutting one wire and attaching it. So we've had to do a you could put a spade terminal and connect it that way, which would be a little bit cheaper, but not much. But that is now wired as a complete automatic machine, 7122. Also, as a bonus, if you ever wanted to run it as a standard machine, say you now wanted to use it as a generator and your generator wasn't powerful enough, all you would have to do is unscrew both of these, pull that off, now you've got a standard machine. And then when you come back to mains, you can just put that on and it'll be automatic again. So best of both worlds. So tools used, for everything to change that pump, where is it? So everything to change the pump, to take everything off, put it all back together, we used a set of pump pliers, long nose pliers, side cutters, posi screwdriver, little flat terminal screwdriver, 6mm screwdriver, 19mm spanner, a 22mm spanner and a 24mm spanner, a ratchet with a 15mm spanner socket on and a 13mm socket, used a 6mm Allen key and a 10mm Allen key. So with all these tools, although I did use the drill just to speed up things, it's the same thing, just a 13mm socket and a screwdriver bit. So for these tools, you can change your pump to a completely automatic machine like it would be from the factory, using all your original equipment and just changing the main brass block. So I hope you liked the video. All I've got to do now is get all these SD cards and put them on a computer and edit the stuff, so I don't know when this video is going to be released, but I hope you liked the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. It don't really matter. Comment if you think I've missed anything or you could have done better, or you want this doing to your machine. We'll do it, no problem. I haven't sorted out a price just yet, but if you stay tuned to the website or Instagram, I will be able to, you'll be the first to know anyway. So until then, see you next time.